Hurry, Secret Seven, hurry! A short story about the Secret Seven. The Secret Seven had been out together for a picnic. Scamper was with them, his tail wagging happily. He loved being alone with Peter and Janet, but it was even better to be with the whole of the seven. There was always somebody fussing him then, patting him or talking to him. "Well, I must say the baskets weigh a lot lighter coming home from a picnic than going to one," said Janet, swinging hers to and fro. "Oh, sorry, Colin. I didn't know you were just behind me." "You'd better give that basket to Scamper to carry," said Colin. "That's 3 times you've banged me with it." "Shall we go home through the fields or through the town?" said Peter. "Through the town," said everyone. They were all thinking the same thing. What about a call at the ice cream shop? So they went back through the town. It was market day and the streets were full. People rushed about here and there, carrying parcels, calling to one another, and cars had to go very slowly indeed, because there were so many people walking in the road. A man came down the street, cycling quickly. He rang his bell as if he were in a great hurry. People tried to get out of the way. Peter just skipped to one side in time as the man cycled past. He turned to stare after him indignantly. "He almost knocked me over," began Peter, and then stopped. Even as he spoke, something had happened. Crash! The man on the bicycle had bumped into a car and had been flung off into the road. A woman gave a loud scream, and people hurried up at once. The children ran to see what had happened. The man lay there, half dazed, his head badly bruised and his cheek cut. A policeman came up. "He was going so fast," said a woman nearby. "He kept shouting to people to get out of the way. He was in an awful hurry and didn't seem to see that car." The man tried to speak, and the policeman bent down. He listened hard and looked puzzled. "He keeps saying gate," he said. "Is that his name? Does anyone know?" More people crowded up, and the policeman began to send them off. Now, move away," he said. "Oh, here's a doctor. Will you move away, you kids? Give the poor fellow a chance." The Secret Seven moved off with all the other children who had crowded round. "Oh, I'll never ride my bicycle fast," said Barbara. "I never will, now I've seen how suddenly accidents can happen." "Who was the man, do you know?" asked Peter. "I've never seen him before," said Pam. "Well, I seem to know his face," said George, puzzled. "Yes, I know I do, but I just can't think who he is." "I think I've seen him before too," said Jack, frowning. "I've watched him doing something. Oh, what on earth can it be?" "Oh, never mind," said Pam. "What does it matter? He's in safe hands now, with a policeman there and a doctor." "I just can't remember," said George. "It's no good. I sort of feel he's something to do with the railway. He's not one of the porters, is he?" "No," said Jack. He knew all the porters because he so often went to meet his father off the train. "He's not a porter. He's not the ticket clerk either, or the station master. All the same, I can't help thinking you're right. He is something to do with the railway." "Oh, stop bothering about it," said Pam. "I want to forget the accident. It was horrid." They walked along, swinging their baskets and bags. Peter and Colin arguing about football, and the 3 girls listened. Suddenly, George interrupted. "I know! I remember who that man is," he said. "And we're right. He is something to do with the railway." "Is his name Gate?" asked Janet. "No," said George. "Gate is part of his work, though. He's the man who opens and shuts the gate at the railway crossing. You know, we've often watched him coming out of his little cottage and swing the big gates open one after the other, and then shutting them over the line when the train has passed." "Oh, yes, of course. You're right," said Jack. "It's Mr. Williams, the level crossing man. I say, I hope there's someone at his cottage. who will open the gates for the next train," said Peter, stopping suddenly. "That's why he was in such a hurry, I expect. He wanted to get back in time to open the gates." "The 6:15 is due soon," said Colin. "My father's on it." "Let's go back quickly and tell the policeman," said Janet, suddenly feeling scared at the thought of a train racing along the lines and crashing into closed crossing gates. "No time," said Peter, looking at his watch. Then, like a good leader, he made up his mind quickly. "This may be serious," he said. "If there's no one at William's cottage to open the gates for the next train, there'll certainly be a smash. Even if the train doesn't rock off the lines, those big gates will be smashed to pieces. Buck up. We'll run to the cottage and find out if anyone's there." The 7 children, with Scamper racing behind, barking excitedly, ran down the road and round the corner, down the next road and up a little hill and down again. And there, some way in front of them, stretched the railway line. "Hurry up," panted Peter. "We're nearly there. We've still got a few minutes before the train's due." Peter reached the cottage first. It stood close beside the level crossing, a pretty little place with a tiny garden of its own. Peter yelled as he ran up to it. "Is there anyone at home? I say, is there anyone in?" He banged on the door and then rang the bell beside it. Nobody answered. Nobody came. Then Colin ran to the window and looked inside. "Anyone in?" he shouted at the top of his voice. He turned round. "The place is empty," he said. "That's why Williams was biking so fast to get back. He hadn't left anyone to see to the gates." "And that's why he kept saying, 'Gate, gate,'" said Janet. "And what are we to do?" "Open the gates ourselves, of course," said Peter, trying to be as calm as possible. He could see that the others were getting excited and alarmed. That would never do. Everyone must keep calm. Everyone must help. Those gates were very, very heavy. Colin looked round to see if anyone was near who could help them. A strong man would be most welcome. But not a soul was there except a small girl who stared at them solemnly all the time. "George! Janet! Come with me to the nearest gate and help me to open it," shouted Peter. "Jack, you go to the other one with Pam and Barbara and Colin. And for goodness sake, make haste! The train's due in about a minute." "We must all look out for it," shouted Colin. "It will be down on us at top speed before we know where we are." Soon, all 7 children were straining hard at the heavy gates. A great bolt had to be lifted from its hole in the ground first, and then an iron ring undone at the top of the post. It held the gate closed, and only when it was lifted back from the post would the gate open. "I can hear the train," yelled Janet, who had very sharp ears. "And the lines are beginning to tremble. Hurry! Hurry!" Colin, with 3 people to help him, managed to open his gate first and swing it slowly across the line and back, so that the way was clear. But Peter's bolt was stiff and took a good deal of easing up. "The train's coming!" screamed Pam. "The train's coming! Get away, Peter, get away!" Yes, the train was certainly coming. It whistled as it came roaring along, and when Peter looked up, he could see it tearing down the line towards them. With a last heave, he got the bolt out of its hole. Then, with all the others now helping, he swung the gate back as quickly as he could. Pam screamed again as the engine raced past, making quite a wind. A surprised driver looked out of the cab at the children on the line beside him. Then, the long row of swaying carriages came rumbling past, making a truly enormous noise. In a few moments, the train was gone, racing away down the line, growing smaller and smaller every minute. Soon, it would draw in at the station a mile away, and Colin's father would fold his evening paper and get out. "I wonder if Dad saw me," said Colin as the train raced away. "I feel rather faint," said Barbara suddenly, and sat down against one of the gates. "Oh dear, how silly." "It's just the excitement," said Peter. whose heart was thumping so hard in his chest that he found it quite difficult to speak. "My word, we didn't have much time, but we just did it." A shout came to their ears, and they turned. It was the policeman on a bicycle, with 2 or 3 men behind in a car. "Hey, what are you doing on the lines, you children? Did anything happen to the gates?" "No, we managed to open them for the train," shouted back Peter. "Well, I'm blessed," said the policeman, getting off his bicycle, as the 3 men jumped out of their car. "Did you remember the gate when you found out who that man was who was knocked down?" asked Peter. "Yes, the fellow managed to tell us at last," said the policeman. "I shot off at once, and these men came in their car as soon as they could. My word, when I saw the train racing by, I thought everything was up. I listened for the gates to be smashed, but no, the train just raced by as usual." "You mean to say you kids opened them?" said one of the other men. "How did you think of such a thing?" "We remembered who the man was. Mr. Williams, the crossing gates man," said George. "Then we thought of the gates and the train that was due, and we ran like hares to open them." "We only just managed it," said Jack. "Whew, I'm dripping wet. They were heavy, those gates." "I'm melting too," said Barbara, who was still sitting down, but already looking a little better. "Who are you children?" said another man, a big burly fellow, looking at them hard. "You seem a jolly good bunch of kids, I must say. You've probably saved a lot of damage, you know." "We're the Secret 7, said Peter proudly, and tapped his badge. "Ready to do any job of work at any time." "So I see," said the man. "Well, I'm a railway official, so you can take it from me that you've saved us pounds and pounds of damage by opening those gates, besides possibly a nasty accident. The train might have swerved off the rails when it hit the gates." "Oh, I'm jolly glad it didn't," said Colin. "My father's on that train. Wait till I tell him our tale tonight." "Well, before you do that, I'd like you to do something else for me, if you will," said the big man, and he winked at his 2 companions. "What's that?" asked Peter, with visions of another exciting bit of work to do. "Help me to eat a few ice creams," said the man. "You look so hot, you ought to cool down, and that would be a good way of doing it. Don't you think so?" "Oh, yes," said everyone, and Barbara stood up at once. She felt quite prepared to eat at least 3 ice creams if this man offered them. The 2 men with him went to swing the gates back across the lines again, so that people might pass over on foot or in cars. The big man got into his car and told the children to follow him to the ice cream shop just down the road. Soon they were all sitting together with such enormous ice creams that they really couldn't believe their eyes. "This is the biggest ice cream I've ever had in my life," said Peter. "You deserve it, old son," said the big man, who was eating an ice cream too. "How in the world did you open those gates in time? You had only a few minutes to race away from Williams, get down to the crossing, and swing back those heavy gates. I don't know how you did it." "Yes, you're right," said Peter, thinking about it. "I don't quite know how we did it either. But the thing is, we did it." Well, that's really all that matters, Secret 7. You saw what had to be done, and you did it.